Hey, what's up? It's Breyonna. So today we're gonna be testing out the brand new Morphe Making You Blush collection, which, oh my gosh, like I actually think this collection's very fun because it's very like colorful yet kind of natural and soft, but at the same time it has just a very like fresh kind of look to it that, again, I think is gonna be perfect going into spring. But I will warn you, this collection is fairly decently sized. I mean, we have 10 blushes and 2 eyeshadow palettes. Now, lately I've been really into doing like 2 separate eyes. I don't know why, I think it's just kind of fun. So I actually want to use the Vava Bloom palette on one side, which again, this palette is beautiful. It's very like pink and rosy, and like it kind of has like these really pretty smoky colors. And then the other palette we have is the 9P Petal Passion, and this one's kind of rosy, but it also has like a little bit of a coral vibe to it. And what's really fun about this one though is that these shimmers right here, they kind of have like a speckled look to them. And then we also have a new product from Morphe, and this is the Blush Balm. And this is just a cream blush that is a little bit more on the buildable side, but I mean, just look at that color. And also the packaging of these is really nice. Like, it's very high quality. And then the last item that we have are these Sculpting powder blushes. And again, I will be doing swatches of both of these later on in the video. And I just want to put the disclaimer out there that this is not my first time using the collection. I did do a campaign with Morphe over on TikTok, and if you'd like to check that out, I'll have a link in the description box down below for you. But in that campaign, I have tried out the Vava Bloom palette, as well as one of the new blush balms and one of the new Sculpting powder blushes. Otherwise, the rest of this collection will be completely new to me. But the first palette we're going to be going in with is the 9P Petal Passion, and I'm going to go in with this kind of like lighter shade called Her. I'm just going to be taking it on this brush from Anastasia. This is a A25. Ooh, right off the bat though, she is pigmented. Again, I haven't tried out this palette yet. I've only tried out the Vava Bloom, but man, like that is really nice right away. And then I'm just gonna go in with a second layer, but I really do enjoy the 9-pan palettes that Morphe has. Honestly, like I think they're very underrated with the formula. Like, I'm actually surprised that more people don't hype them up, because again, a lot of the time they are just creme de la creme. But again, like this shade is really easy to use. And again, it has a really nice amount of pigmentation. I don't think you would have to build it up if you didn't want to. It's just doing the second layer just makes it a little bit more poppin'. You can see it's giving me like a perfect blend. So now we're gonna go in with this brighter kind of like rosy pink, and this one's called Big Apple. I'm just gonna be popping into my crease using this Sigma E33. And right off the bat, these kind of look a little bit similar. So right away, we're gonna go in with a second layer. Yeah, this shade's a little bit more on the buildable side. It's still really pretty. It's not giving me harsh lines, but you can see it's not like super crazy intense. Now I'm gonna go in with a third layer just to kind of see what's up. Yeah, like I wouldn't say that you would need more than 2, because again, like I don't feel like the third layer did all that much. And I am just gonna blow it up into Her. We might need to deepen it up, I'm not 100% sure, but I do want to go in with the Vava Bloom palette first, just to kind of see like what we're working with. So the first shade we are going to be going in with is this one right here called Rosy. And again, I'm just going to be taking it on a different E35 from Anastasia, and this is the more like a mauve shade out of the palette. But this pigment though is insane. When I first used this palette, I was just so impressed with how pigmented the shades were in here. That's why I'm also kind of curious to see how it is compared to the Petal Passion palette. I'm wondering if they're going to be the same formula or what's going to happen, but I am going to go in with a second layer of this shade. Just kind of build it up. Yeah, I would say to get this shade to look like it does in the pan, you're looking about 2 layers. Again, the first layer has a lot of pigment to it. Again, very, very beautiful. But if you want to be like a little bit more rich, I would just do a second layer. So to help deepen this up a little bit, we're going to go in with the shade right underneath of it called Miss Me. And I'm just going to be taking this shade on a Morphe M507. And yeah, like this one right off the bat isn't like crazy pigmented either. And also, it's kind of like one of those browns that has more of like a pinky, rosy kind of look to it. I would almost call it like a rosewood in a way. But again, it's applying really nice. It's not giving me like chunkiness or harsh lines. And also, like, I feel like it's just giving me like that effortless, like smooth, seamless blend. Like, it's one of those things that you just pop it down to a couple circles and you're good to go. Like, you don't have to fuss with these. Is it me, or do these look very similar? Like, this side is a little bit more pinky and this side is a little bit more brownish. Let me know what you think, but to me, they look almost near identical. Like, I don't really see a difference until I like really look at it. But again, I'm just going to go in with this big apple shade just to kind of like marry in that crease a little bit. And I'm just going in with this shader brush I have from Anastasia. It's an A3. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with these shimmers, and I first want to go in with like this peachy corally shade, and this one's called It's You. And I'm just gonna be taking it dry. Ooh, that is pretty. Again, it's more of like a wet sheen kind of vibe. It's not like glittery. It's applying really like soft as well into the colors that we applied. But you can see it's just like a little bit more orangey. Again, let's go in with a second layer. And you can kind of see it just has like an orange sparkle to it. But you can see it's not like glittery, and it just has like that wearable kind of like wet sheen to it. Honestly, I would say that this palette, the 9P, is a little bit more of like a natural-ish kind of palette. It's not like the super extra kind. And I'm just going to take a little bit more of Big Apple and then just kind of like feather out the edge. Okay, I'm really curious about this shimmer right here called I'm Busy. It kind of has like a speckled look in the pan. It really reminds me of those Huda Beauty shimmers that have like those little flecks of different shades in them. I don't think I've ever tried anything like this, but again, I'm just applying it dry with a different shader brush. It's a little bit more glittery, is what I would say. I wouldn't say it's like super crazy. You know, I'm gonna take it with my finger and see what happens. Yeah, like it's definitely like a wet sheen kind of vibe. It's a little bit more poppin' though than I'm Here. Just like a touch more shimmery. But again, I don't see like any like different like flecks in it. To me, the speckle part is just something that looks very eye-catching in the pan. I don't see a difference with that kind of texture on the eye. So now we're gonna go in with the Vava Bloom side, and I'm first gonna go in with this pink shimmer called All Nighter. Now, I have gone in with this shimmer before, and I absolutely loved it. Like, it was super, like, wet and metallic. And again, I am applying it dry. Oh, crap. I forgot to do the outer edge. You know what? We're going to do that real quick. But, okay, so I'm just going to go in with Miss Me on a shader brush. That kind of, like, deeper shade that we used in the crease. And I'm just packing it right on the edge. And then now we're going to go in with the shimmer. You know what? I actually prefer the shimmers on this palette. I feel like they're just a little bit more pizzazzy. A little bit extra, and again, like, don't get me wrong, the 9P palette, you know, they are creamy, but these just feel a little bit creamier. Oh, I just noticed, but this side, you can see it's actually giving me a little bit of fallout on the 9P side. Again, I'm not saying that the 9P palette is bad. I don't know, there's something about this shimmer that's just a little bit better. Then I'm just gonna buff out the edge using more of Miss Me. And then for the rest of the lid, we're just gonna go in with this icier shade called Cutesy. And again, I have tried out this shade and I absolutely loved it. It was so intense and sparkly, and it was kind of like a true champagne when I used it. You know, depending on your skin tone, you might really enjoy this shade as a highlighter. But again, like, it just has so much shine and wow factor to it. Like, you can definitely see the difference of these shimmers. I would say that the 9P palette, though, in my opinion, is more of like a wearable, like everyday kind of palette. You know, something that has like a little bit of color to it, but it's not like super intense and like out there either. Like, it just has like a little bit of sheen to it, and it's also just like a little bit colorful. Whereas the Vava Bloom palette is Vava Glam. Like, you can see, like, the shimmers are just a little bit more poppin', they have more shine to them, they're a little bit more extra and metallic. Again, like the 9P palette, beautiful formula. It's just, if you're like me and you like a little bit more of a wow factor, you're gonna like the Vava Bloom more. So I just applied like my base products off camera, just the crimson liquids though, because again, we are going to be trying out the blush balms. And I do want to do some swatches because I'm not exactly sure which shade will look the best with this eye look. So the first one we have is called Wild Wine. And again, this packaging is beautiful. I really hope that Morphe does more like this because I feel like it looks very luxe. And again, it also has a really nice mirror in here. But these are supposedly really buildable and just very easy to work with. Even though they say they're a balm, to me they just feel like a normal cream blush. And this one's called Provocative Petal, and this one's more of like a peachy kind of shade. Yeah, like, to me they're not like balmy, they're not sticky, they're not thick feeling, they're very like lightweight, and they're kind of almost like gel-like in the pan when you like put your finger in them. But after you pop them on, they go on like butter. And then next we have Notoriously Neutral, which is the one that I have already used. And again, they're like creamy, but they're not like too creamy. I really wish we could go in with that one again, because man, that is a pretty color. Now we have Audacious Apricot, and this is the one that I'm kind of leaning towards. Again, I'm not too sure how it's gonna look. It's a really, really pretty, that's like a true apricot. And then the last one we have is Mighty Mauve. And to me, even though these are technically a buildable formula, I would say they're more like a medium pigmentation right off the bat. I'm a creature of habit, so we're just gonna go in with Mighty Mauve. And again, I wouldn't say that they're balmy. To me, they kind of remind me of a Super Shock blush from Colourpop. With how the formula is, it just doesn't turn into a powder like those. But it kind of has that kind of texture to it. And then I'm just going to take my dampened sponge. This is how I used it the first time. I just popped it on with my finger and then I buffed it out with a sponge. And I really enjoyed it. And again, this is only one layer, and you can see it's kind of like a lighter medium almost. And I am going to do a second layer just because I'm kind of curious to see how this one looks. I need like a little bit more right in there. I just want to see how it builds. And finish wise, I would say it has like a skin-like finish. I wouldn't say it's like super dewy because again, it's not like thick and like sticky on the skin. It actually is a very nice formula. And I'm somebody, like, I really like cream and liquid blushes, but I also kind of don't like them at the same time because a lot of times they can get like sticky feeling. And I feel like they can like mess up my foundation and concealer. So they're not always like worth the effort, but whew, you can see it just has like this skin-like natural-ish kind of finish to it. So let's finish up the eyes before we go in with the powder blushes. So I'm first just gonna do the Petal Passion palette. So I'm just gonna go in with that big apple shade on this little pencil brush I have from Colourpop. This is an E28. I'm just gonna run it underneath the lower lash line. And then honestly, just using the same brush, I'm just gonna go in with Her, that transition shade that we used, and smoke it down. And then on the Va Va Bloom side, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. So first just gonna go in with Miss Me. This time I'm using a brush from Morphe. It's from the Madison Beer collection. It's like a little shader brush. I'm actually gonna go in with just a little bit more of this shade. And then like the other side, I'm just gonna use the same brush and go in with Rosy and smoke it down. So now we're gonna do the inner corner highlights. So on the Petal Passion side, we're just gonna go back in with I'm Busy. And then I'm just gonna be taking this on a little pencil brush. And you see what I mean though? Like, it's cute, but it's not like super like crazy popping like it looks in the pan. And I'm just gonna do a second layer, but again, like it's really, really pretty. I actually really like the shimmer. It's just, I kind of wish it was a little bit more pizzazzy for how it looks in the pan, because again, like this texture kind of concept looks really fun. So I kind of wish I had a little bit more of like a glitter shine kind of vibe to it. And then for the Va Va Bloom side, we're just gonna go back in with Cutesy. Again, I'm just using a pencil brush and popping it in that inner corner. Again, I kind of prefer these shimmers out of the Va Va Bloom. Like, I just think they're just more of like a wow. Like, they just have a little bit more pizzazz. But if you're somebody that likes more wearable shimmers and you don't like things that are really loud and really sparkly, or if you have textured eyelids and you don't like super glittery ones because of it, I think you're actually going to prefer the Petal Passion palette shimmers. And then the last item that we are going to be trying out are these Sculpting powder blushes, and I really enjoyed the one I tried, so I'm really curious to see about the other shades and see if they're just as good as the one I have tried. But the first shade we have is Playful Pink, and I will warn you, the first time I used one of these blushes, it looked completely different on the face than it did when swatched, so I guess we're gonna find out. It just feels so like smooth in the pan. Okay, that one, like I am pasty like printer paper pale, and that one's very sheer. So I guess we're gonna do a second layer. You know, I feel like this one might be a really pretty one to kind of like blow out a other kind of blush with. You know, like in between like underneath the eye, and then a brighter blush. And then next we have Always blush. I will say, like, a lot of these look very light in the pan. Oh yeah, that one's pretty light as well. It's kind of like a nudie kind of shade. And then here's the one that I have already tried, and this one's called Nude Pursuit, and it's definitely like a very like everyday kind of shade. Oh yeah. That is like my everyday blush shade. Like, I could just wear this kind of shade every single day for the rest of my life and be completely content. And then next we have Juicy Secret, and this is such a pretty color. Oh my gosh. I mean, look at that. And in the pan, they're kind of like a satin kind of texture. That is so pretty. It kind of has like a very like cool tone, almost like a purpley kind of undertone to it. And then the last one we have is Copper-tunity. You know, this one actually feels a lot more buttery than the rest for some reason. Like, not that the other ones are like hard or anything. This one just has like a little bit more of like a creamy texture. Ooh, that one's really pretty too. So for something different, I'm gonna go in with Always Blushed. And I'm just gonna be taking it on this brush I have from Morphe. This is an M405. I'm actually gonna go in with just a little bit more. I want kind of like a flushed kind of vibe. Yeah, you can kind of see it's like giving me like a blurred effect around the cream blush that we just used. Or the blush balm. But again, like, they're not dusty. They really remind me, I used to absolutely love these Morphe blush palettes that they had, and they had like 8 or 10 shades in them. And they were kind of like more of like Morphe Pro kind of line. And I just could not get enough of them. I love the formula of them so much. And this really reminds me of that. Like, I literally could never put them down. They had like a warm version and a cool version. They were so good. Another thing is these are more on the buildable side. You know, they're not like super pigmented right away, at least the ones I have already used. Again, the deeper shades are more pigmented than the lighter ones when swatched. But whew, this is such a pretty shade. Again, it's kind of like a natural pink. Because it just has like a little bit of like a nudie kind of vibe to it too. This look just screams like romantic, like whimsical-esque kind of vibes. I don't know if you feel that way too, but I just think it turned out really pretty. And also, like, is it me or did these eye looks look almost near identical? I feel like the only real difference is the lid. Like, the Vava Bloom side is just a little bit more sparkly and a little bit icier. But unless you're like really looking, I don't see that they're that much different. Let me know though if you think that way too. And also let me know which side is your favorite. Personally for me, I do like the Vava Bloom just a little bit more. Because again, I like really icy and super metallic shimmers. And these ones are right up my alley. So out of everything we have tried, my favorite item is the blush balms. Like, if you're going to run out and get anything from this collection, please try these. Like, they are so good and underrated. Like, again, they're creamy, but they're not like too creamy. And they're also so easy to work with and blend out. And again, like, the packaging is super nice. And if you're a beginner and you want to get into cream blushes and you don't know where to start and you're just a little bit overwhelmed because there's so many options, I think these are a great thing to check out. And again, the other item I really enjoyed out of this collection was the Vava Bloom palette. Like, seriously, this one is so good. Like, the shades in here are very easy to work with and blend out. Like, the mattes, they have a good amount of pigmentation, and you just have to do a couple circles and they're already blended for you. So if you're a beginner, you are not going to struggle with this formula, at least in my opinion. And again, with my other look, I have tried out the pink matte as well as some of the deeper ones, and they literally did not give me any harsh lines or chunkiness, and they were not dusty. And if you're like me and you're like super extra pizzazzy shimmers with a lot of like metallic wet sheen, you're gonna fall in love with the ones in here. Like, don't get me wrong, I do like the Petal Passion palette. The only thing is with this one, I feel like the shimmers just are a little bit more bland. You guys know I like really extra shimmers, so that's why I like Vava Bloom a little bit more. But again, the mattes in here were really nice, and the shimmers do have some shine to them. I just kind of prefer this side a little bit more. As for the Sculpting powdered blush, I really enjoy the formula. I think it's really nice. It's definitely more of like a medium buildable kind of blush formula, if not a light to medium buildable. Like, again, you really have to pack this one on if you want to be like super blushy, but if you're looking for something a little bit softer and more wearable and everyday, I think these are really great. Again, I do prefer this shade that I used the other day, the Nude Pursuit shade. I feel like this one was just a little bit more pigmented than the one that we used today, but again, I like both. But yeah, so in the comments, let me know what you think about this look, and also let me know what you think about this collection and if you're going to be picking up any of it, because I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But before you go though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on Instagram or TikTok, it's at Breyonna as well. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!